Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and to a brand new video. Today I have quite an exciting vlog for you. I plan on reading, what is this? Haunting Adeline for you today. I really want to take you along with me. I think I might actually film me reading the whole Duet, like the two books. What is it? Haunting Adeline and Hunting Adeline. But I also don't want to make that promise in case I don't. Or what if I hate this book? What if I hate it? But yeah, I plan on reading this. This is 550 something pages, so it's quite a long one. So maybe I won't want to read the next one. Who knows? This is a very dark, toxic romance, I believe. I think it's with a stalker. So I think he's her stalker. And he's like a really bad guy criminal. And he stalks her. And maybe they fall in love, which would be really, really weird. I don't know how I feel about that. Only thing I would say is I recently read, or not recently, last year I read The Ritual by Chantal Tessier, and then this year I read the sequel, and they were too dark for me. They were really, really dark. There's a lot of non-consensual things in those books that I just really did not vibe with, and I think this might be the same, because people make out that this is really awful, so I'm very concerned that this will be the same situation, but you won't know until you try. And I am intrigued because everybody talks about, I think his name is Zaid Meadows. I want to know more about him. Now, before we get into the video, I must apologise for the sound of my voice. It's hay fever season. Nothing I can do about it. I do sound really nasally. If I'm annoying you right now and you haven't seen any of my other videos, I don't always sound this nasally. Maybe I do. Who knows? But I can only apologise. I'm sorry. Hello, it's me. I completely forgot to say in the intro to this video, so I'm going to put this in the intro. This is filled with spoilers. This is going to be spoilery. I wasn't sure at the beginning if it was going to be or not, but this is going to be. If you don't want to hear anything at all, click away, go read the book, come back if you want. Back to me. Let's get straight into this. I don't know how much I'm going to read today, but I'm hoping to make some good progress. Okay, so this has nothing to do with the plot of the book yet. But we have seen, oh my god, what's her name? Addie? Is her name Addie? I feel like her name's Addie and now I can't remember it. Shit, sorry. I think her name's Addie, so I'm going to go with Addie. She's just moved into her grandma's house because it was passed on to her because her grandma's passed away. And this house is so beautiful. It's like this really large, it sounds like it's quite crumbling, but it's like a haunted house. And they're so accepting of these ghosts. And I'm like, cool. She's literally yeah, it's haunted. There's ghosts. I'm like, cool. I didn't expect that addition to the story. And I'm really into it. Really into it. So that's really cool. I hope we get more of that. But yeah. I mean, that's cool. But I haven't seen any of the major stalking yet. I'm literally just beginning. So. I did not expect this already. The man is a full-on stalker. Why are we so close? I'm a stalker right now to how close I am to you. This man is a full-on stalker. I didn't know what I expected, but this might be crazy. We get his POV as well, which is really interesting. But this man's crazy. Why is he stalking her? He's literally outside of her house, staring at her. No. And she's calling the police, but I just don't think anything's gonna happen. You know what it's like? Men, in the police, nothing happens with stalking. They don't take it seriously. I'm terrified. He put a what inside of her? He put a what inside of her? He just put a gun inside of her. What in the den of vipers is this? That's not my thing. That's not my thing. It's not for me. Not for me. Is this me realising I'm a vanilla girly? Or is guns just too far? Okay, so we have more of Zaid's backstory. And I get it. He's a good guy. I get it. I guess he's a good guy. He's trying to rid the world of bad men. He's trying to get rid of child sex slavery, which good thing. And so he's killing the men who are selling the children. Great. So happy for you. What I'm not convinced by is the fact that he's like, oh, such a good guy, and yet you're a stalker. You're literally terrifying a woman that you saw in a bookshop one day. And then claiming to like have all these feelings for her, and she's gonna love you and she's gonna be your wife and the mother to your kids. Like, okay. What if she doesn't want to be? Is my concern. Because I'm not sure I'd want to be the mother of my kids to my stalker. What if they ended up being stalkers? I don't know. I'm not feeling like that vibe that everybody seems to feel with him. I'm not feeling it. I have moved to the floor for a bit of variation. I just don't know how to feel. I'm making very good progress in this book, but I just don't know how to feel. So she's admitted that like she feels like okay about it. Like she like does feel attracted to this man, which is good, considering he's doing sexual things to her. But like she's never said yet. Like I don't know if I'm one for the dubious consent. He's like, well, I know she wants it. I'm like, but again, he's like, she's wet, and I'm like, let's have the discussion about how being wet does not mean consent. Women have a discharge. She even says at one point, it's discharge. And I know that she's lying, but that's not the point. Like, you can just be wet. That's just a body thing. That doesn't mean anything. But I think that's the whole point, is you're supposed to know this is a dark romance. It's not going to be consensual. So I'm trying to, like, move past it. Like, that's the whole point. The whole point is it's not consensual. I get it. I'll try not to go on about it too much. It just is weird. Like, it's hard to process when you're not used to reading books about no consent. Yes, he's a good guy, no. He's like a vigilante, you know? He's doing good things, but by doing bad things. And I'm okay with that. That's cool. I like that. But he's like, I don't know, he's getting too into the character for me. I think I'll talk about that more later once I've seen a bit more, see if I still feel that way. I really like the best friend. Is her name Daria? I really like her. Very invested in her talents and her skills and her abilities. She's so cool. I love how I'm just like down in the corner and there's like all this empty space. Not the best filming opportunities. Okay, so something I have kept forgetting to mention was, remember I said I hope there'd be more about the ghosts in the house? There have been a lot more about the ghosts in the house, because her mother has a stalker as well, and she's found, our main character, Addie, has found letters from her mum, like from her grandmother, great-grandmother, about the stalker, which is really, really interesting, because like the two of them are living in the same house, or lived in the same house, they both have a stalker, and she's like, how would her grandmother ever fall in love with a stalker? That's so weird. Meanwhile, letting him do very weird things to her. I don't know. We also are now in a situation where she's met this man, Mark, and I'm really anxious about it. It was actually kind of like weird, like seeing Addie and Zaid interact out in public. Like I was like, hang on, that's really jarring. So from that point on, I've been really chill about it now. I get it, because before he was just this man. Like we saw more of him, but for her, I couldn't get past the fact that he was just this man standing outside her window. And like, not to judge anything, but she was talking about how scary he looked because he's covered in scars. And yeah, that's going to be a little bit like frightening. Like we shouldn't judge anyone by their appearance, absolutely not. But you're going to be like, this man is standing outside your house scary, covered in scars. You're going to think he's a bit of a scarier man. Although, can you get scarier than a man standing outside your house with a hoodie on? I've also realised I have a real thing for hoodies. Oh my god, I'm sorry, everything's just coming out of me right now. I have a real thing for hoodies. This man is always wearing a hoodie and I'm really into it. Like, I really like his hoodie. So random. Anyway, where was I going? Oh yeah, so they like, Mark spotted Addie and Zaid had to say that was his girlfriend, and then they had to interact in public. And since then, I think that interaction in public really got me to calm down a bit on the stalking aspect, because I get it now. Now it feels like they're just kind of role playing the stalker, and that's so much better. But like, it's okay now because she like likes the stalkery thingy, but like at the beginning he was an actual stalker, and he still kind of is an actual stalker, but like it's just odd. Like I just don't know if I'll ever love him. even though I'm very attracted to him. I don't think I'll ever love him because I'm like, well, feminism. I'm a feminist girly. I can't just put it to the side as much as I try. But they are at an event, which is scaring the hell out of me right now, where they're at Mark's house. And they're like, because obviously Addie and Zayd had to pretend they were together, even though in Zayd's head they are, and they're going to be married. And so they're at this event now, and it's really scary because Mark's like a big scary guy, you know? I'm really rambled in this clip. I'm so sorry. My thoughts are all over the place with this book. And also I'm not updating enough. So my timelines, I'm trying to remember what to say first because of what's happened first and what hasn't. And it's just very overwhelming. So yeah, I'm gonna go. Continuing the mission of finding new places to film. So that you don't just see me in my bed the whole video. So we're in the Elvis coven. I'm not an Elvis fan, Liam is. We've now hit the point where they're at, what's it called? Satan's coven? Something. But I remember seeing a book, so I've just searched it up, and there's a book around it, and it's like this fairground thing that pops up every year. What's it called? Hang on. And I don't know if I was supposed to read that book, if it's a novella, or if I'm supposed to pick it up between books. I don't know. It doesn't say that it's part of a series. Satan's Affair. Every Halloween, Satan's Affair will come to you. We travel the country offering terrifying haunted houses, thrilling rides, and the tastiest food in every passing town. I cleanse this world one execution at a time. Oh, I think this is Sibby's story. Oh, okay. I want to read Sibby's story. So we met Sibby in this book. Sibby is... she kills people. She's obviously not all there because she's like imagining people, like her henchmen, which are in her head imaginary people, which is really, really sad. I feel really sorry for her. She seems to have like quite a sad little story, but we haven't really covered it very much. Like Zayd pinned the murder on her, which I get his reason for doing so, but it also felt really, really sad. But at the same time, I'm glad that she's no longer free to kill people. Because unlike Zayd, I don't know if she was just killing people who were bad or if she's killing just everyone. It didn't really say. But yeah, now that I know there's a book for her, I'm really excited to read that. Definitely. Because I really like H.D. Carlton's writing style. I think what I'm most surprised about in this story so far is how much it feels like a regular romance writing-wise. Like, I'm really invested in it. It's really easy to read. It feels normal. Yeah, okay, there isn't a specific writing style for writing stalker, but it's like giving. There's like really good vibes, really good like atmosphere. And it feels really casual. Like you could be reading a beach romance and then out of nowhere it's like stalker. And you're like, oh, okay. Murder. Oh, okay. So far this book has not been very bad. Like I've read worse toxic romances, worse dark romances. I've read a lot worse. Not so much stalker though. It's weird to me because I just read Find Me yesterday, which is like a stalker series where she's trying to run from her stalker and he murders her whole family. Like he's really, really bad. So I think for me the mindset is difficult to switch when I've just read a stalker book where he's actually so bad, and then I'm trying to move into a book where a stalker is good. I think I'm like lagging a little bit. But I am really enjoying it. I really like Zayd. I'm just struggling a little bit overall, I guess, with the concepts. But yeah, I really, really like it. I really like the Satan's Affair thing. They just did the deed for the first time. So I think he's now going to turn into craze. Like, I don't think he's like letting her go at all now. I mean, he obviously wasn't anyway because there's 2 books. But you know what I mean? Like, I think she like she signed the contract here. Oh yeah, that's another thing. In Satan's Affair, we found out that Mark was planning to kidnap Addie. And like all this time we thought Zayd and Addie were like manipulating Mark. Because he was like, oh yeah, you're my best friends and stuff. Like we're really close. Like, and I think the whole time he was actually manipulating them, which makes Mark even more scary. But they're not going to be a problem anymore because Zayd and Sibby took care of that. So that won't be a problem anymore. And it was pretty creepy and scary, I'll give you that. So, yeah. I think that's all my thoughts for now. We're really, we're getting through it. There's, I think about 60%. So we're getting through this so quickly. And I'm really invested now. I'm really enjoying the mystery again. We've seen some ghosts in the house, or we've heard some creaks. It's nothing in your face. I love it. I love that it's just so accepted. Everybody just knows it's haunted, and she's just like, cool. I love that. I also am really enjoying the fact that we're seeing more of a mystery with the grandmother, because we're seeing that she was murdered now. We know that she was murdered, but we don't know by who. My vote. Okay, I'm gonna put a little theory in here. I think everyone's saying that it was Ronaldo, the stalker. I don't think it was the stalker. I think Ronaldo liked her. I also don't think it was the husband, John. But I'm not convinced. It could have been the husband. But he's too obvious of a thing, because obviously, what's her name? Ginny? Is that her name? But she's saying about how John's getting aggressive, so I think that's too obvious. And also the fact that he was desperate to move out after what's-her-face died. And, like, obviously Addie's grandmother was like, no, please, I want to stay here for my mum. Which is weird, because why would you want to stay in the house that your mum died in? I don't know. Unless she didn't die in the house. Have they said that? But if a ghost there, they obviously would have died in the house. Who knows? Who knows? I think it's the friend Frank. Because when he found out, when John said that G, let's just call her G, was cheating on John, Frank was like really invested in that story. He was like really cheesed off. And I'm wondering if like he wants to get revenge for John, or if he's got like ulterior motives, or maybe he's like associated with a stalker. I don't know. But something's not right about Frank, and I want to know more. Okay, I'm gonna go next. That was a long update. We got a lot off our chests. I'm sorry I finished and I didn't tell you. Not that I didn't tell you, I'm telling you now. But I didn't update you for like the last like 35% or whatever it was, 40%. I don't know how to feel. That was wild. Okay, let's talk, because I don't know what just went down. I was right about Frank. I was right, but it was because he was in love with the great grandmother. The end, Addie getting kidnapped, or like run off the road, and then like obviously she's gonna be kidnapped. I don't know how I feel about that. So that'll be fun in the next book. I think my overall rating is gonna be a 3 stars because I enjoyed a lot of aspects. The romance, I can't get on board yet. I really can't get on board yet. I get that they're cute together, like in their own freaky, messed up way. And I get that Addie like wants to be with him, but she's also, I don't know, it's really weird. There was a really cute scene where he came home really stressed and she was like massaging his muscles, and that was really sweet to see like his offside, and she was like looking after him when she realized something was wrong. I think that kind of proved to me how much she just actually likes to be with him and actually just likes the stalker side now. My issue with Zaid is Guy be doing good things. Guy be murdering people who are bad people. I don't mind that at all. Murder away, torture away. I'm fine with reading it. My issue is, obviously he's trying to like shut down child crime rings. It was the things he said. Like I get it, he was trying to get into a character and make them believe him that he was interested in these children. Oh, it feels so uncomfortable. But like, it's still really weird how into the act he got, and the things he said literally turned my stomach. I know they're probably supposed to. I feel like with a lot of my dark romances, they don't try and make the guy a good guy, he's a bad guy. Like, I can only really compare it to the Chantal Tessier books because they're the most relatable. But like, they are bad guys and they never try and be good guys. They're just bad guys. That's it. Whereas this guy's trying, like, H.D. Carlton is trying to turn this guy into a good guy that's doing a good thing. Like, the minute that Jack ran into the room and he was like, why is Jack here? I was like, oh, shit, it's going down. Like, I don't know what's happening, but I'm terrified. I knew something bad was going to happen because everybody says that the beginning of the second book is really hard to read. But I think those people say that this first book is really hard to read, and it wasn't for me. Obviously, I don't like reading about the child aspect. I would have much rather for it to have been a regular sex trade ring, because obviously that's hard enough to read. Like, adult women getting sold is horrible to read. It would have hurt me a lot. But like, to make it children was an interesting choice, because yes, it's a bigger evil to fight, and I guess you support Zaid more, but it made me really, really struggle to like enjoy the book as a result, because there was a lot of it. So that's kind of my feelings on that. I enjoyed it. I really like the characters. I really fancy Zaid. I just think he's a bit of a menace. And I can't really like forgive his stalking. Stalking is interesting. I feel like he could have just asked her on a date. Shock. I'm intrigued to continue 100%. Not right now. I need a break. Like, that was a long book to read in one day. I'm going to go, but I'm going to continue this video into the second one. It is the next day. I'm so sorry if you can hear my washing machine in the background. I just downloaded Hunting Adeline, the second book, ready to start. And I'd like to remind you of something I said yesterday, which was this book wasn't too bad. I haven't even started the book. I'm at the important note. I would like to read you the trigger warnings, which are: this book contains very dark, triggering situations such as graphic rape, and these scenes are very detailed, so please proceed with caution. There is graphic violence, gore and torture, sexual assault, kidnapping, psychological abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, explicit sexual situations, human trafficking, slave trade, grooming, severe PTSD, very particular kinks such as blood play, knife play, degradation, and somnophilia. This book is significantly darker than the first. Please take these warnings seriously. Your mental health matters. It also says if you're expecting a quick reunion, then this book isn't for you. Which is very, very annoying, because I was really hoping that they'd be like reunited really quickly. I don't... See, the thing is, when she says like, take these warnings seriously, I do not like to read about rape. My friends all know if they want to recommend me a book, they always tell me if there's going to be those scenes in it. I tried to read Sea of Ruin by Pam Godwin, and there was a rape scene in it, and I felt horrific. I couldn't read it. I don't know if I even finished the book. I can't remember. So I am a little bit concerned. I feel like this is what I deserve for saying it wasn't that bad. I know people always say that the second one was worse, but that's a lot of bad trigger warnings. And the idea of it being graphic rape is really, 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 really scary to me. Because that's just not something I want to read about. I think my plan is to read this until I can't read it anymore. Because I'm really invested in this story. I really like the idea of this book. Oh, that's the first page. But at least I read them and I know what's coming. I think I can deal with like the torture scenes and stuff. Like, I'm pretty fine with that. It's purely like the sexual assault and the rape that I'm not down with. I don't like reading about that stuff at all. Not that anyone likes reading about it, but like some people are like, oh, I just like a dark book, so that's fine. I don't want to read about it. But yeah, I will read this now. I think I'll start it and I'll keep you updated on my thoughts and feelings as I progress. But just know I'm absolutely terrified. Okay, I have to talk so quickly while the washing machine's on a lower speed. We've just hit the point where Zaid has escaped his capture, but obviously Addie is now being transported to the place where they're holding all the girls, and we're seeing a lot of written letters from that girl Molly, so I feel like they're in replacement of Gina's letters from the first book. Only been threats so far, and it's still so dark from Addie's behalf, so I'm absolutely terrified. I'm at 13%, I don't know if I already mentioned that. But Zaid's gonna try and save her, but it's the fact that I know what's gonna happen to her from the trigger warnings that makes this worse, because I don't even have that hope of Zaid's gonna get there in time. I just know what's gonna happen. And I'm like, ugh, this is so hard to read. Obviously nothing's happened yet, but it's hard to read knowing what's coming. So yeah, I'm at 13%. But I'm fine for now, I'm gonna keep going. But my god, this is sad. This is so sad. Okay, so it looks like Daya is also not in the like selling ring, but a guy called Luke has taken her, and like I think that's the guy she slept with in the first book. This makes me so sad. So oh god, Z just cut off a man's penis. That made me feel quite unwell. I mean, don't get me wrong, the guy deserved it, but the descriptions of that was so rank. Yeah, I'm not cut out for this book. I'm not cut out for this book at all. I don't know if I can continue. I'm at 19%. We've just had the first very graphic rape scene. All I can say is poor Addie, like, I want to continue because I really, really, really want to see where the story goes, but I just don't want to read that again. I even like skimmed, like as soon as I realised what was happening, I was skipping the page, but I haven't even gotten to the bit like afterwards, so she's gonna have to like reflect on what happened. No. But at the same time, it's like, it's really hard to read, but like this that goes on in the world, and it's so wrong. And it's like, you not reading about it doesn't stop it happening. So it's like, do you have a duty to read things like this? I don't know. All I know is I feel physically very, very sick. I'm back to trying to read this book, and I think I've said multiple times, like, Zaid kind of freaks me out a little bit because as much as he's like seemingly a great guy, he does weird things. Like, he really leans into the whole character of being a bad guy, and it's like he's just found the doctor that Addie had to go to when she was kidnapped, found his footage of him raping people, and he like forces himself to watch it because if they went through it, someone should watch it. I'm like, no. If I was that person, I would not want you to watch it. That's weird. Don't defile them more by watching it. I don't know, like, it's weird. Like, that's not right, in my opinion. Like, it's more gross that he watches it. And whether he likes it or not, because he says it makes him stomach turn and stuff, that's not right for you to watch it. You are just affecting that person more. Like, they may not know, but it's disrespectful. So that's why I have like this thing against this man. That's the only thing that's like holding me back from loving it. Or loving this man, not this book. I don't love this book. Is that I'm like, he leans too far into this character and does really weird things that don't justify it. Anyway, I'm going to continue now. I'm at 22%. It is literally midnight, so please excuse the way I look. I'm reading this book and I'm at 68%, so I just kind of wanted to talk to you all because it's been a while. This video has been so heavy. I just wanted to like talk about where I was at with it. About 45%. She escaped the place and then Zaid found her. One thing I will say I really, really like is they haven't like rushed into things being happy. Things are really, really messy with them. She's obviously suffering so much trauma and won't let him touch her or anything, and I'm really, really glad that that's the case. But it's still very uncomfortable to read. As I said, I'm at 68% now, so obviously we've spent about 20% of her being at home, recovering, getting revenge. And I have to say, if I'm being honest, hating this book. And I just wanted to talk about why. Obviously, I'm not equipped for these severely dark romances. I think I love a dark romance. I love like mafia romance. I love it. But I think these dark romances that I keep trying to read that feature a lot of like non-consensual things or anything like that is just not for me. The first book was my perfect level. Like, it made me uncomfortable, but I feel like I really, really enjoyed the gothic mansion with the ghosts and the writer, and she had a stalker, so it was creepy, and then it had the really dark side that made me uncomfortable. Like, that was enough of a dark romance for me. Like, I was really creeped out. Like, it was grim. This book has just, it's got none of the vibes. It's just so dark. And the situations she has gone through have been so cripplingly awful that there isn't a moment of reprieve for you to enjoy it. And no matter how much we enjoy dark romances, like, this is your kind of book, that's great, but I feel like I would need a reprieve, and I didn't get any. Not one. I feel like I couldn't breathe for 300 odd pages. Right now the book's standing at a 1 star, and like, I really enjoyed the first book. I mean, I gave it a 3, so I didn't like love it, but I really enjoyed it for what it was. I just had my issues. So to suddenly go into this book and hate it so much, I should have been prepared. I mean, I jinxed myself when I said I don't really know why everybody's saying this is as bad as it is. I was just unprepared for the second book, because it's bad. I'm not sure it's worse than Chantal Tessier's books, but I think what's made it worse for me is that I'm actually more connected, because I really like Addie, and I've connected with her from the first book in a more normal setting. So then to have to go through all of this with her, it's like a knife. It is like a knife to the stomach. And I think that's something that the author's done really, really well and achieved what she meant to do, because she has made us love a character and then done all of this to her without kind of being prepared for it, which I think was quite impressive, but not something I wanted at all. I think it's the way I was like fooled with the first book. And even though I'm giving this a 1 star, that is personal enjoyment rating. I'm not saying it's a bad book. I think that the author's done a really good job achieving what she wanted to achieve, but what she wanted to achieve is not on my lists. It's not on my bucket list. It's not on my want to read lists. I think I might have mentioned this earlier. I either mentioned it or I thought about it, but I feel like this has been quite a glorified duology. Like, I feel like it's really well read. And even though everyone knows it's dark, because everyone talks about how dark it is, I really do feel like maybe there was not enough warnings given, not by the author. The author wrote a really, really good trigger warning page. I mean by readers. I finished the book yesterday, but I just didn't feel like I could come and talk to you guys in the moment. Like, I was just processing what the hell was going on. I did, however, decide on a 1 star, and it's not because it's terrible, because if this is your kind of book, it's a really well written one. I just cannot quite get over the things that happened. And the second half is obviously she's back in his clutches. She's back home, and I do appreciate that they took their time. Like, you know, Zayd didn't pressure her into anything, which, considering he essentially raped her at the beginning, I mean, that was good of him. I think the problem is I don't love him. I find it very hard for a man who tries to like combat the whole dark side of the world and slave trade and whatever, is sat there kind of doing the things that he says are bad, and whether or not he justifies them by saying, yeah, but you wanted it or not, like, that's kind of like what's wrong with the world that we live in. So like, yeah, okay, it's written by a woman, and obviously you see her, Addie's point of view, so it feels different, but essentially it's not different. So I personally get icky. I get why some people don't mind it, but for me, I just find that difficult to get over that barrier, and that's a personal problem. I felt as though the characters were very different from the first book. I feel like in the second book, there are different characters, especially when she gets home. Like, obviously, I don't mean like the fact she's a different character because of her trauma. I don't mean that. I just mean the way they speak, and like the cringy monologues that happened. I didn't find they were that cringy in the first, but then in the second one, I was literally like, ew, you're giving me the ick. It was all around just not my cup of tea. But the problem is I really like the first book. Okay, I only give the first book 3 stars, but that for me is, you know, I can really like a book that I give 3 stars. I just have a lot of issues, which is exactly what happened with that book. I really liked the one part of the romance part. I just didn't like the other bit. But it's disappointing what it became, and that's the reason I didn't feel like a DNF it. So what should we take away from this video? I think if you are capable of reading dark romances and looking past, like I had trouble looking past my feminism. If you don't have trouble looking past that, fabulous. That is perfect. Like, I wish I felt that way during this book. If you can look past it, if you can look past the dodgy parts, like the fact that he is a very dodgy man, then great, you will like this book. Although I'm imagining the people who have gotten to this point either have read it or don't have any interest in reading it because you watched a spoilery vlog. Or if you're someone watching this video to see if you're capable of reading it, that to me already says you're not, because that I was not. I don't know, I just really was not. Like, I have genuinely lost sleep over this book, probably why I have such bad skin, because it was so dark and not what I expected. I do feel like this vlog was a messy one. I'm hoping it'll come together in editing, but if not, I'm really sorry if it even sees the light of day. But yeah, I'm glad I read it, and I'm glad I vlogged it because I feel like the vlogging kept me sane. But I don't recommend this book for the reason of you've got to be so careful about it if you want to read it. But other than that, thank you so much for watching this video, especially if you got to this point. And yeah, I shall see you in the next one. Bye.